Ladies and gentlemen, what if I told you the courtroom didn't just hear testimonies today? It shook with echoes from the grave. Picture this: Asian doll, the queen of chaos herself, exploding on the witness stand like TNT with lashes. And just when you thought it couldn't get more dramatic, Lil Durk, yes, Mr. I'm holding it together, literally collapses in tears, calling out King Von's name as if the walls of that courtroom were about to split open. Chills yet? Because this wasn't just a hearing, it was a circus, a soap opera, and a ghost story all rolled into one. Ask yourself this: when did our rappers stop dropping tracks and start dropping bodies of drama in federal courtrooms? Who's running the show here? The judge, the lawyers, or Von's spirit pulling strings from the afterlife? And while everyone's pretending to play it cool, the whispers flying out of that courtroom sound more like a mixtape leak than a legal proceeding. Something went down, and trust me, you won't believe what these so-called sources are saying about the meltdown, the secrets, and the unexpected presence that had everyone clutching their pearls. Brace yourselves, because the tea I'm about to spill? Scalding. So let's dive right into this courtroom saga, because ladies and gentlemen, what went down today is something even Netflix couldn't script. Forget Law and Order, this was more like Love and Hip-Hop meets The Twilight Zone. Picture the scene: a courtroom packed to the brim, the air heavy with tension, reporters elbowing each other like it's a Black Friday sale. And at the center of it all, Asian doll, storming in like she's about to headline Madison Square Garden instead of testifying under oath. And trust me, she wasn't here to play it cute. The moment her heels clicked against that polished courtroom floor, you could feel the energy shift. She wasn't walking into a trial, she was walking into war. Now let's talk about why this even matters. Because if you're new to the soap opera that is Lil Durk, Asian doll, and the forever haunting shadow of King Von, then buckle up. This triangle of chaos has been dominating headlines for years, each scandal juicier and more outrageous than the last. From rap beefs spilling into the streets, to Instagram lives that look like full-blown WE smackdowns, these three names carry baggage heavier than a rapper's chain collection. And today, that baggage got dumped right in front of a judge. So here's the setup. Lil Durk is facing legal heat again. No shocker there. If Court Appearance was a Spotify playlist, Durk would have been platinum by now. But today wasn't just about Durk's charges. Nope, this was about loyalties, about secrets, about whether Von's ghost is still pulling strings from 6 feet under. And Asian doll? Well, she decided she was going to be the voice for the dead, and she was not holding back. The courtroom. Murmurs started the second she took the stand. Eyewitnesses, yeah, we got eyewitnesses, say she slammed her purse down so hard on the table, even the stenographer jumped. And then came the explosion. Not just words, full-on theatrics. She called out Durk by name, accusing him of betrayal, of disloyalty, of letting Von's memory rot while he chased fame and checks. And just when the crowd thought, okay, this is spicy but manageable, boom, Durk breaks. The man who's built his career on being the tough voice of the streets, the guy who raps about surviving it all, he collapses. Like literally. Head in his hands, shoulders shaking, calling out Von's name like the courtroom just turned into a seance. And let's be real, half the room probably checked to make sure the lights weren't flickering, because it felt like Von's presence was there. Now, this isn't the first time Asian doll has gone nuclear in public. Let's not forget her Instagram meltdowns, her Twitter wars, and those infamous interviews where she basically turned grief into gladiator matches. But seeing her unleash this kind of fire in a courtroom? Different ballgame. And you know what? People are divided. Half the internet is screaming, "Queen, speak your truth." While the other half is like, "Sis, this isn't Zeus Network. This is federal court." And let's not even get started on the anonymous sources. Because of course, no courtroom scandal is complete without some insider whispering to the blogs. Word on the street, well, according to someone close to the situation, is that Asian doll wasn't even supposed to testify that day. Apparently, she forced her way into the proceedings, claiming she had evidence that could shake the case wide open. Evidence of what? That's the million-dollar question. But according to this mysterious source, she waved around a folder of papers like it was the lost chapters of the Bible. The judge reportedly tried to calm her down, but you know how that goes. Judges are used to lawyers arguing, not rappers turning depositions into diss tracks. And the way Asian was going off? It was less calm testimony and more better words monologue. And here's where the plot thickens. Because in the middle of her rant, just as Durk was trying to hold it together, she shouted Von's name, loud, echoing, like she was conjuring him. And that's when Durk cracked. He started sobbing, muttering Von's name under his breath, as if Von himself was right there, sitting in the defendant's chair. Chills, ladies and gentlemen. Absolute chills. Now let's pause for a second and talk history. Because this wasn't some random emotional breakdown. This was the culmination of years of friendship, betrayal, rumors, and grief. Remember, Durk and Von weren't just collaborators. They were brothers in arms. They came up together, rode the same wave, and when Von was taken, the world expected Durk to carry the torch. But not everyone agrees he did. Critics say he moved on too fast, cashed in on the tragedy, and left Von's legacy dangling like an unfinished verse. And Asian doll? She's made it her personal mission to call Durk out every chance she gets. From claiming spiritual connections to Von, to blasting Durk for clout chasing, his own fallen brother, she's built her entire public image around being the voice Von never got to have. And let's be real, whether you love her or can't stand her, you can't deny she's mastered the art of keeping Von's name alive in the most dramatic way possible. So, the courtroom becomes the stage. Durk is collapsing, Asian is exploding, and Von's memory is looming like a ghostly referee. Reporters are scribbling notes like their lives depend on it, while Twitter is already drafting hashtags. And in the middle of all this, the judge, probably wondering why he didn't retire 5 years ago. But here's the kicker, the fallout didn't stop in that courtroom. Because the second those doors swung open, the whispers spread like wildfire. Bloggers, podcasters, YouTubers, everyone wanted a piece of this chaos. Clips leaked faster than mixtapes in 2007. You had people claiming Von's voice was actually heard echoing during the breakdown. You had others saying Asian pulled out evidence that could link Durk to shady business deals. And then you had the conspiracy theorists, who swore the courtroom cameras glitched at the exact moment Von's name was screamed. Creepy? Absolutely. And of course, the memes. Oh, the memes. Within an hour, you had edits of Durk falling in slow motion, Asian doll photoshopped into a WWE ring, and Von's face hovering in the clouds like Mufasa in The Lion King. Internet undefeated as always. But behind the humor, behind the sarcasm, there's a very real tension. Because what went down in that courtroom wasn't just spectacle, it could have consequences. For Durk's case, for Asian doll's credibility, and for the ongoing legacy war over King Von's name. And trust me, this was only the beginning. And so, ladies and gentlemen, the courtroom mayhem wasn't even the climax, it was just the opening act. Because the second Asian doll stormed out, the whispers turned into roars, the blogs lit up, and suddenly, receipts started leaking. Yes, you heard me. Receipts, screenshots, documents, audio clips that sound like they were recorded on a Nokia brick phone in 2008, but still, receipts. Now let's unpack this. Because apparently Asian doll didn't just come to scream Von's name like a scene out of Paranormal Activity. According to insiders, and by insiders, I mean someone's cousin's barbershop client, she was carrying a folder thick enough to be a college thesis. A folder allegedly filled with financial records, private text messages, and even handwritten notes that supposedly tie Lil Durk to moves that would make a mob boss raise an eyebrow. And here's the wild part. One anonymous courtroom aide swears that when Asian waved those papers in the air, she wasn't bluffing. They claim the documents hinted at money laundering, shady payouts, and a so-called silence fund meant to keep people from talking about Von's final nights. Hold on. Let's just marinate in that for a second. A silence fund. Sounds like the title of a Netflix thriller, doesn't it? But in this case, the allegation is that Durk had been funneling cash through shell companies, making donations that just happened to end up in the pockets of people who could keep certain stories buried. And guess what? The internet lost its collective mind. Hashtags like #Von deserves justice and #DURK exposed started trending, while conspiracy TikTok went into overdrive. Suddenly you had influencers with ring lights breaking down evidence like they were seasoned detectives, red circles on blurry screenshots, arrows pointing at random numbers, and captions like, "See? This proves everything. See? This proves everything." But here's where it gets creepier. Another source leaked what they claim is an unreleased voicemail Von's voice, left just days before his death. And in it, Von allegedly warns about snakes in the circle and money being moved around. Is it authentic? Who knows? Is it bone-chilling to hear fans play it on repeat while editing spooky captions over Von's face glowing in neon flames? Absolutely. Meanwhile, Asian Doll is eating this all up. She hops on IG Live like it's her personal press conference, rocking sunglasses indoors at 3 a.m., sipping from a Chick-fil-A cup and declaring, "Y'all gon' learn today. I told y'all Durk wasn't loyal. Von been talking to me in my dreams, and now the truth coming out. Dreams, ladies and gentlemen." She's doubling down on being Von's spiritual spokesperson, claiming she's the chosen one to carry his warnings from the beyond. And while half her fans are like, "Yes, Queen, Von speaks through you," the other half are side-eyeing, wondering if she's turning grief into a business model. But the chaos doesn't stop there. Because as soon as those leaks hit, Durk's team went into full crisis mode. PR reps releasing statements about fabricated evidence and malicious rumors. Lawyers swearing up and down that the documents were doctored. And then, boom, guess what? More leaks. Suddenly, there are bank statements floating around, stamped with official-looking logos, showing transfers to accounts labeled with names like A. Doll Enterprises and Street Ties LLC. Now, do these documents look suspiciously like someone edited them on Microsoft Paint? Absolutely. But does the internet care? Not one bit. People are already convinced. Durk is running an underground empire. And let's not forget the cherry on top, a so-called leaked FBI memo. Where did it come from? Who knows? But apparently, it claims the government has been quietly investigating ties between Von's murder, Durk's finances, and even certain entertainment companies suspected of being fronts. Real or fake, the fact that people believe it tells you everything you need to know. But the suspense isn't just in the documents. It's in the reactions. Celebrities start chiming in. Some rappers tweet cryptic lines like, "The truth always come to light, and snakes always expose themselves." Others unfollow Durk on Instagram because nothing says "I don't trust you" in 2025 like hitting that unfollow button. Even Von's old associates start dropping subtle hints. One former crew member goes on a podcast, claiming he saw things but can't speak too much because the street's watching. Translation: he once clicks without catching a case. Still, it fans the flames. And while Durk's fans are desperately defending him, making threads about how all this is cap and Asian just clout chasing, the damage is done. The narrative is out there. People are whispering about secret funds, shady transfers, and a rapper so haunted by his fallen friend that even the courtroom can't contain the drama. But here's where it really turns into a suspense novel. Because multiple people in that courtroom swear they heard something strange. Not just Durk crying Von's name, but a voice. An echo. A sound that didn't belong to anyone in the room. One reporter claims her audio recorder picked up a whisper right after. Asian screamed Von's name. "I'm still here." Let me repeat that. "I'm still here." Goosebumps, right? Of course, skeptics say it's just bad acoustics, feedback from a mic, or maybe someone coughing. But conspiracy fans? They're running with it. Whole YouTube compilations already exist breaking down the audio, slowing it down, looping it, adding subtitles like, "See, he speaks." And you know what? In a way, it doesn't even matter if it's real. The idea of Von's presence is enough to fuel the storm. Suddenly, this trial isn't just about Durk's charges. It's about a battle between the living and the dead. Asian Doll positioning herself as the messenger, Durk falling apart under the weight of guilt, and Von's spirit allegedly making cameos like he's guest starring in his own posthumous drama. The suspense is unbearable because nobody knows what's coming next. Will Asian actually hand over these documents to investigators? Will Durk's team successfully shut it all down? Or will more leaks appear, each one darker than the last? And let's not forget the fans outside the courthouse. Reports say hundreds gathered, holding posters of Von, chanting his name, demanding justice. Some even lit candles like it was a vigil mixed with a protest. Police had to step in when the crowd got too rowdy, chanting, "Von forever, Durk never." Imagine the optics, your trial turning into a street rally against you. And in the middle of all this chaos, Durk hasn't spoken a word publicly. Not one. Just silence while the world speculates. Which, of course, makes it even more suspicious. Because in the court of public opinion, silence equals guilt. So where does this leave us? With a scandal teetering on the edge of explosion, Asian Doll waving ghostly receipts, Durk collapsing under pressure, and Von's name echoing like thunder through every headline, every live stream, every whispered conversation in the rap game. And just when you thought things couldn't spiral any further, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the fallout. Because the second those so-called leaks hit the internet, the courtroom circus became a full-blown national scandal. We're not just talking blogs and podcasts anymore. We're talking mainstream media outlets, government whispers, and fans turning into private investigators with nothing but Wi-Fi and way too much free time. The fallout started small. Hashtags, memes, TikTok theories. But within days, it ballooned into something so massive that officials could no longer ignore it. Enter the rumors of a federal probe. Yes, you heard me. Anonymous insiders claim that government agencies FBI, IRS, and maybe even the Ghostbusters if you believe Twitter, have opened files to investigate Lil Durk's finances. Allegedly, subpoenas have been flying faster than mixtape drops. Bank accounts frozen, shell companies scrutinized, and private jets grounded, because apparently somebody has to answer where all those mysterious wire transfers labeled consulting fees actually went. And while Durk's camp insists it's all legit, the public isn't buying it. Why? Because in the court of public opinion, once you're guilty of drama, you're guilty of everything. And here's where the suspense tightens. Imagine this. Durk's legal team scrambling in late-night meetings, shredding documents, sending frantic emails with subject lines like, "Urgent, do not open." Meanwhile, Asian Doll is sitting back on Instagram Live with a smug grin, telling her fans, "Didn't I tell y'all? Von's spirit don't lie." She's already branding herself as the truth teller, the chosen messenger of Von's legacy. Merch lines rumored to be in the works. T-shirts with slogans like, "The Ghost said it," and "Von spoke through me." Critics call it exploitation. Her fans call it devotion. Either way, it's keeping her name and Von's trending nonstop. But what about Durk? His silence is starting to crack. Sources whisper he's been seen pacing his mansion halls at 3 a.m., phone glued to his hand, muttering Von's name under his breath. Neighbors claim they've heard shouting, glass breaking, even music blasting at insane volumes, like he's trying to drown out something or someone. And while fans debate whether this is grief or guilt, the industry is reacting. Collaborators quietly distancing themselves. Features being postponed. Tours suddenly rescheduled. Labels don't like mess in this. This is the kind of mess that stains brands, stock prices, and sponsorships. Meanwhile, the conspiracy crowd is taking things into dangerous territory. People are claiming Von's ghost isn't just making cameos in courtrooms, he's haunting Durk. Fans post grainy clips of shadows moving in Durk's live streams, strange voices in the background of his recordings, even lights flickering mid-performance. Coincidence? Technical glitch? Or Von making his presence known? Depends on who you ask. Depends on who you ask. But the legal storm is no laughing matter. If these silence-fund allegations gain traction, Durk could be staring down charges that make his current case look like child's play. We're talking racketeering, fraud, conspiracy, the kind of stuff that ends careers and racks up decades in prison. And the worst part? Every time his lawyers try to dismiss the leaks as fake, another set of documents mysteriously appears online. Almost like someone is feeding the chaos for maximum damage. And who benefits from that? That's the million-dollar question. Asian doll? Maybe. Rival rappers? Definitely possible. The government itself? Wouldn't be the first time. But no matter who's behind it, the narrative is already running wild. Durk is guilty, Von's ghost wants justice, and Asian is the only one brave enough to speak the truth. The suspense only deepens when politicians start weighing in. A senator from Illinois, desperate for clout, tweets about the dangerous influence of rappers on our youth, using Durk's scandal as the prime example. Community leaders hold press conferences, urging investigations into music money corruption. Suddenly, this isn't just a hip-hop headline, it's a political talking point. And then comes the kicker. Reports surface of alleged resignations, people tied to Durk's business ventures quietly stepping down, issuing vague statements about personal reasons. In the scandal world, personal reasons is code for, I don't want the feds knocking on my door. The tension is unbearable because everything feels like it's teetering on the edge. Will Durk go down in flames? Will Asian's evidence ever actually hit the court officially? Or will the entire scandal implode like so many before it, leaving fans with nothing but memes and theories? And just when it seems like maybe, just maybe, things are cooling off, boom. A fresh leak. This time, an alleged video clip surfaces. The quality is awful, filmed on what looks like a security cam from the Stone Age, but the footage allegedly shows Durk meeting with men in a dimly lit room, exchanging envelopes. Is it real? Who knows? But the internet doesn't wait for verification. They run with it, labeling it Durk's payoff tape, Q Chaos. Blogs dissecting every pixel, TikTok sleuths slowing it down frame by frame, and Asian doll reposting it with the caption, Von tried to warn y'all. The fallout is now global. International outlets pick up the story, framing it as a cautionary tale about fame, loyalty, and ghosts refusing to rest. Fans overseas hold vigils for Von, lighting candles and blasting his tracks in the streets of London, Toronto, and Johannesburg. The legacy war has gone international. And through it all, one question keeps haunting the narrative. Is this Von's justice, or just another circus exploiting his name? Because whether you believe in ghosts or not, the reality is this: Durk's career is hanging by a thread. Sponsors gone. Reputation shredded. A legal noose tightening. And an ex-ally turned rival, Asian doll, making sure Von's name never leaves the headlines, even if it means turning grief into a business. So where does it all end? Will Durk fight back, dropping his own receipts to clear his name? Will Asian finally hand her mysterious folder to investigators? Or will Von's memory continue to echo through the culture, louder than any verdict could ever be? Whatever the outcome, one thing is crystal clear. This scandal isn't just about a rapper, a courtroom, or even a ghost. It's about power, legacy, and the lengths people will go to control the narrative, even if it means rewriting history with a pen dipped in drama. And for those of you still asking, did this really happen? I'll say this, in today's world, the truth doesn't matter nearly as much as the story. And this story is bigger than any verdict, because as long as people are chanting Von's name, as long as Asian is waving receipts, and as long as Durk is collapsing under the weight of whispers, the scandal will live on, half tragedy, half spectacle, and 100% viral gold. And maybe, just maybe, somewhere out there, Von's watching it all unfold with the same smirky war in life. Ladies and gentlemen, after everything we've just unpacked, the courtroom explosions, the ghostly echoes, the leaked receipts, and the fallout shaking the entire rap game, the question remains, what do you believe? Was this simply a grieving woman losing control on the stand? Or was Asian Doll truly channeling Von's spirit, exposing secrets the industry has fought tooth and nail to bury? Did Lil Durk collapse from the weight of lies finally catching up to him? Or was it the crushing guilt of failing his brother in arms? And those mysterious leaks, are they fabricated drama for clout? Or the beginning of the end for one of hip-hop's biggest names? Because let's be honest, the truth might never fully come out. But in today's world, perception is reality. If the fans believe Von's ghost is haunting courtrooms, if they believe Asian Doll holds the key to exposing Durk, then that belief alone can destroy careers, flip alliances, and rewrite legacies. So I'll leave it with you. Is Lil Durk headed toward redemption or self-destruction? Is Asian Doll the fearless truth-teller we never asked for, or a master manipulator feeding off the pain of the past? And most importantly, what does King Von's name really echo? Loyalty, betrayal, or unfinished business? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, because this story is bigger than me, bigger than you, and maybe even bigger than the courtroom itself. Smash that like button if you felt the chills. Subscribe so you never miss the next shocking twist. And hit the notification bell, because if this saga has taught us anything, it's that the next bombshell could drop at any second. This isn't just news. This isn't just gossip. This is history, messy, chaotic, haunted history. And trust me, you're going to want to be here for the next chapter. For the next chapter.